The Department of Defense continues to alert military and civilian personnel about a cybersecurity breach affecting millions of people who filed tax returns in the state of South Carolina dating back to 1998. Now, to give us a better understanding of how this breach occurred and what you can do to protect your personal information, we're joined by South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Ma'am, thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you very much, Sergeant Hauser. It's great to be with you.
Ma'am, could you explain just a little bit about how this breach occurred, and do we know, how much information was leaked out there and where it went to? Do we know who did this?
Well, without going into too much information, because it still is an ongoing investigation, what we do know is that there was an international hacker that came in to our system as he got an employee to click on something that allowed him to get his password. And from there, he was able to take that password and gather some information. And so we are trying to do everything we can to protect everybody that could have been compromised. And that is why we're pushing very hard for everybody to contact Experian and get the security system that we are providing for them.
And who is it particularly that could have been affected by this breach?
What we are saying right now to be cautious is, first of all, everybody that has been affected, we've been working with the Department of Defense, they will get contacted, they will get notified and told that they are part of the breach. But basically what we started out was, if you filed any sort of electronic tax return in the state of South Carolina from the year of 1998 forward, then you could have been compromised and should go ahead and take action and contact our Experian, contact and get your name on the list so that we can immediately start getting you some protection.
Now, with such a large military presence in the state of South Carolina, ma'am, and you know how our lifestyle is, we're always on the road, so electronic filing is really important to us. So certainly our audience, whether they've been stationed there or are currently stationed there, are certainly concerned with this. But is it only if you filed state taxes electronically, or people who have been stationed there, they may not be a resident, but perhaps they've purchased property or vehicle subject to state tax? Are those individuals, should they be concerned as well, or only if you filed state income taxes?
This is only if you filed state income taxes in South Carolina electronically. Any other transactions would not be part of the breach.
So what exactly should folks do in order to protect themselves?
Well, what we ask you to do is go to the South Carolina Department of Revenue website. They've got the connection there where you can go on and click to Experian. It is a very simple process of putting your name in, putting in a code, and being able to get yourself secure. When you do that, you will immediately get $1 million worth of fraud insurance. You will immediately get fraud monitoring, where they watch your information for you just to see if there's anyone that's trying to compromise your information. And then you also get fraud solutions. They go, whether it's retroactive or whether it's going forward 5 years back, 5 years forward, however long, if you have been compromised in any way from this or from anything else, they will handhold you through the process to make sure that it does not hurt your credit and to make sure your protection is taken care of. We've also contacted the Bankers Association to make sure that they're very aware, so we're working with them. And for our military members, because we are a proud military state, we are working with the Department of Defense, and we're also working with a consulting company that goes out of their way to make sure we are actually contacting every military service man or woman, regardless of where they're stationed.
Considering, as I mentioned before, our lifestyle of kind of being on the road, ma'am, is it more of a challenge to contact the service members, considering that you almost have to track them down?
Well, as a military wife myself, it's not a challenge, it's a necessity. So that is why we have contacted a consulting company, LexisNexis, to say, go find out where they are stationed, where they are located, and let's get them the information in any way that we need to. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we reach out to them. I would advise anybody that is a South Carolina resident to go ahead and sign up for this fraud protection. It is free. So regardless whether you are part of the breach or not, it's it's a good thing to do. You know, we are in a different day and time where there are bad people that try and get through different ways, and you know, we need to be diligent, not just because there's a breach, but because we need to watch our checking accounts, we need to watch our credit cards, we need to watch all of the things that we have, because hacking is becoming a part of life now, and it's something that we need to make sure all of our families, not only military, are very taken care of.
Well, that's certainly a fact of life these days, ma'am, as more and more people rely on digital technology, and more people, unfortunately, are out there trying to gain our personal information. Ma'am, we thank you so much for joining us this morning, Governor Nikki Haley of South Carolina.
Thank you so much, and God bless every man and woman out there giving their service for our country.
Ma'am, just before we let you go, is there anything else that you would like to touch on specifically? Any message you'd want to get out there?
It's just that South Carolina is a very strong military state. We always think of our military members first in terms of whether it's a hacking or whether we're making sure we're taking care of their families while they're overseas, and whether we're honoring them the way we're supposed to. So what I can tell them is, while this has been an unfortunate incident in South Carolina, they're at the top of our minds. We are going to make sure that we are responsibly taking care of them the way they have always taken care of the people of our country.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and we will definitely help kind of disseminate this information and make sure our folks from South Carolina are protected. Thanks again, ma'am.
Great. Thanks so much, Sergeant. Take care.